Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode here of Cut Ups. Hope all of your Wednesday evenings are going well. I got Sour Patch Kids stuck in my mouth, but we're here again, second time this week, continuing on with the analysis of Michigan's rout over Nebraska, 34-3, obviously. Before we get to that, thoughts on the basketball game tonight. Michigan won by 29 over the Pitt Panthers. Really good game. Thought Kobe Buffkin showed out. Jet Howard, when he wasn't in foul trouble, had a really good game. Fun watch. Dennis Fidian here at MichiganRivals.com did a really good job recapping that. Go back onto the YouTube channel, check that out. And yeah, we'll dive into some football film, give another minute or so. Let people flock in. Hope everyone's having a good evening. What do I got tonight? Sour Patch Kids, Extreme. Watch out. But last time, if you missed it, we covered up until midway through the second quarter. This was the last play we covered. Michigan's touchdown to Ronnie Bell in the end zone. So we're going after this point, right? Michigan completes this nice, easy play action, and we'll go back on defense. So let's go ahead and dive in. We're going to start with 14-0 here. Nebraska with the ball. 8:46 in the second quarter. Let's just dive right into the analysis here. Okay. So this is the case of what I'm scared most about against Ohio State. All right. This is a lesson in Michigan repping their pass rush with only 4 guys, right? So they're trying to figure out ways in which they can benefit their pass rush. I think it's really smart that they're doing this because they're recognizing against teams like Ohio State, you can't always be sending, amoeba blitz and have 7 people at the line of scrimmage and drop 3. You just can't do that all the time. So they're trying to find ways that they can best get their best pass rushing unit organically. When you say organically, that's your 4 guys on the line of scrimmage, right? And in these cases, this is where Michigan struggles the most with pass rush. And this is the case of a couple guys trying to get to the ball, especially here, Mazi Smith. Okay, Mazi Smith trying to get to the ball here. And watch Mason Graham in reaction to this. Okay, there's going to be a path up here because of this rush that Mazi Smith is getting. But Mason Graham doesn't have his eyes in the backfield, right? His eyes, he's not connecting this big lane, and he doesn't work off this block to try to close that out. Okay, I got a double team over here. Who is that? Is that Chris Jenkins on the other side? Yeah, Chris Jenkins gets washed out. So not the best job from him. But Mason Graham needs to come off that block quicker, right? You'd ideally like the guy right about now, Mason Graham. He should probably be looking to disengage, right? Disengage, take a look, take stock at what kind of rush is getting to the quarterback. As soon as Purdy steps up, you need to react and close out these appropriate lanes here that Purdy is looking for. Now, let me make this actually bigger. Apologies for having it smaller on the screen. So because of this larger, because of this pass rush from Mazi Smith, right? He's trying to get to the quarterback. There's lots of things that your true freshman defensive tackle is good at in Mason Graham. This is one where he needs to grow a little bit, right? Need to understand how to get off that block a little bit quicker, make that pass rush correct, right? Make that decision for Mazi Smith to go rush the passer, right? It accomplishes the first objective, which is Purdy reading down or Smothers, or no, it's still Purdy at this point, reading down the field, right? The next point is then your defensive tackles being able to keep their eyes in the backfield and shut down any of these potential routes for the quarterback, right? So Mason Graham just needs to, it's good to get this on film, right? Because then he'll know in these scenarios, hey, if I'm not getting a pass rush, you have that internal clock, get your eyes up, right? Look around, disengage, and give credit to Nebraska. Good couple scrambling quarterbacks between Purdy and Smothers, but not great passers, right? So this is really where they are worth a bunch. Here, not the best play overall. I mean, what a hit, right? Like in the stands, I looked around and everyone was just like, whoa, This was crazy. So a lot of time here. It looks like a late shift in call here from RJ Moten, right? I don't know what he's doing with his hands here. Seems like there's supposed to be a change in coverage or something. So someone misses it, right? The main concept that Nebraska is going for, we don't see a whole lot. The main thing we do see between these wide receivers is a cross, okay? And trying to get a handle on what coverage Michigan is in, it's really hard to tell. But the main aspect is you have Junior Colson here dropping into some sort of zone, right? His eyes back on the quarterback. He doesn't recognize these crossing routes until far too late. Okay. As soon as he sees one of these guys cross your face there, you got to pick him up and work out there. Okay. So we'll move forward here a little bit. Again, good protection, 5-on-4. Mike Morris was getting there late, right? Mike Morris working against this left tackle. He is getting around the edge here. And that's probably around probably 8 or 9 yards. Excuse me. That's exactly where you want to be getting on the pass rush. So it's a decent job by him. You're outnumbered in general. So decent time for Purdy there. But look at the separation here, right? Junior Colson was probably too caught on looking into the backfield instead of recognizing this crossing route and picking that up, right? So he's responsible for that bust. Is that because if we go back, a missed call here from RJ Moten? Doesn't seem like it, right? Because if he's dropping off the line of scrimmage going into his zone here, it has to be a responsibility if there's any sort of crossing routes here coming across. Anything that passes your face, right, you're responsible for that. At least that's my understanding there. It seems like the route here from this wide receiver takes out the cornerback, right? This guy's probably running a flag route to clear out any sort of zone here and take him out of the play so that it opens up this crossing route. Okay, so because the safety is also dropping back middle of the field, he has to account for any sort of slant or any sort of seam route here. That leaves your linebacker here dropping into this zone to attach yourself to a body, right? And this body is crossing your face. You got to attach yourself to it. So he doesn't, right? And when you're not sending pressure and you're dropping, when you're only sending 4 and dropping a couple linebackers in zone, you'd expect them to play this a little better. Okay, so Junior Colson just needs to look at that and be prepared for those sort of crossing routes and understand his assignment there. So give credit for a hard hit here at the end, though, right? If a guy wants to go up, try to hurdle you, I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen this. A guy so definitively taken out in a hurdling attempt. That's brutal. The guy's going to learn, though, right? The guy's going to learn. So it was really funny, man. I mean, dangerous, right? I mean, you look at some of the reactions here, pretty funny. I love this guy's reaction. This is pretty great. He's like, "Oh my God." Yeah. So I'm really happy that he's okay, right? That he didn't actually get injured here because that could have injured you really badly. And then landing like this, right? That's like a WWE move right there. I mean, what else can you say? But yeah, thankfully, number 4 here is okay. And they didn't get injured on the play. A lot of 4-man rush versus Nebraska. It seemed the only time they were successful against it was when the linebackers get depth and only 4 rush. Yeah, I think Michigan lacks. I don't know why I said again. I didn't really make this point, but the defensive ends in general are better defensive ends. Mike Morris isn't a true edge. I wouldn't call him that. Jalen Harrell hasn't shown much in pass rush. Oki, I don't know if he didn't get a lot of snaps this game, but he's your best chance at an organic pass rush, really, him and Morris. And then, Smith and Chris Jenkins are good defensive tackles, but not pass rushers, right? They're defensive tackles. So I do think a lot of the 4-man rush was probably repping that against Ohio State. If you need to, dedicate more resources to coverage or not the pass rush. How can you do that organically, right? And I think part of this game was trying to try to figure that out when you're not sending a lot of pressure. I think Michigan will try to against Ohio State, but naturally against better offenses, you need to rely a little bit more on numbers and take those calculated risks on your rushes because Ohio State's just so dynamic and so good on offense. They can take advantage of that and pick up blitzes better than other teams can. Do you think part of the wide receiver is that they don't have enough routes to set stuff up? Like I know pass rushers have to set up moves. Is it similar with wide receivers? Let me wait until an offensive play, Evan, and then I'll pull that up. I think we have a couple more that highlight some of that. So I'll address that once I get to the offense. I will answer that though. Good question. Okay, 3rd and 3 here. Another case where the quarterback steps up. This is the one where Purdy does tweak his knee there. Unfortunate. Ban the baseball slide. Just never do it. Okay, it's really bad. Another example where 3rd and short, right? And Michigan is only sending 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nothing exotic here. And Michigan does get decent enough pressure for the quarterback to step up, right? Mike Morris, I wouldn't call this a great pass rush, right? But he is collapsed in the pocket here, right? The speed rush forces Purdy up. Again, the issue here, how are you closing down the lanes, right? How are you adjusting to your guy on his pass rush? A good thing that Michigan could do really well last year is Michigan understood that David Ojabo and Aiden Hutchinson were elite pass rushers. So the guys on the interior, their job wasn't get to the quarterback, just constrict, right? And in this case, you have some people trying to make plays. And look at the gap that this opens up because Mike Morris tries to go upfield too much, right? So if you know, and I think there's some communication as well, where if you know you're going on a quick speed rush like that, that should also impact your defensive tackle's reaction here, right? So this is just too big of a gap. Even though Mazi Smith gets off it relatively quickly, your defensive tackle against a mobile quarterback, right? So this is the case where I don't like to pause there. If you're only sending 4, right, you need to be a little bit more aware, especially with a mobile quarterback, for when something breaks like this, right? So it's something to consider when it comes up for against Ohio State. It definitely will, right? Stroud seems to panic under pressure sometimes, needs to attack him a lot, whatever it takes. And that's a good point. Each quarterback is different in how they handle pressure. I think Stroud generally tries to throw the ball before scrambling. I admittedly haven't watched them as closely the past couple of weeks. But if a quarterback's reaction to pressure is more running the ball, right, you need to punish him in those scenarios. And Michigan didn't really do that in this game. I think solutions of like sending a late blitz in these scenarios could help. I think there are a number of different ways that Michigan could likely address that. Okay, so now we have Logan Smothers in the game. 2nd and 7, and this is to highlight Mason Graham. Mason Graham just absolutely works his way into the backfield with a beautiful swim move, working through, just tunnels his way. Really great acceleration, right? I don't think this angle does it justice as much as this one, but Mason Graham, 55 here, beautiful swim move. It's passed and closes really quickly for a defensive tackle, just really quickly. I had a tweet earlier today. When's the last time you've seen a true freshman defensive tackle make this much of an impact in a game? I can't remember it. And he was exceptional in this game. One of Michigan's best defensive linemen in this game. So just really great play from him. Needed to highlight that. They score a field goal here, and we're back on offense. This is one of Corum's longer runs on the day. Another sort of insert. It's actually kind of an interesting double insert play here. Stroud can actually run. Kevin Wilson called design runs for CJ. Dave vetoes it. Oh, that's interesting. I know they definitely did against Penn State in some key moments. Or actually, no, I think it was more Northwestern where they ran them, right? But yeah, I think they kind of approach it similar to Michigan lately, where you don't want to run them as much because what are the options behind them, right? And when your offense is that dynamic and they have the amount of weapons, it's better off just to eat it down rather than put your quarterback at risk. So really interesting zone blocking here for Michigan, and you bring both your H backs here. It's actually like extremely simple blocking, one of the more simple blocking schemes that you can coach up. You guys, you five get the five right here. You come through the A gap, pick up linebacker. You come through A gap, pick up linebacker. Okay, really pretty. It looks very symmetrical. It's very nice, and everyone executes it, right? So I don't think, yeah, there's no read aspect as a part of this, even though you have this guy coming down, adding numbers to the box, right? Because with this, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on these 7 defenders, right, for Nebraska. So it is 7-on-7. This guy is added to the box late, but given the blocks are designated at these 2 linebackers, this guy's irrelevant. He's late to the party. Unless he's flying down and Blake Corum just makes an appropriate cut to make him irrelevant as well. I mean, that's great, right? When you have it blocked through the linebackers, everyone's executing really well here. I just really like how everyone turns their hips, right? Look at all of the offensive linemen's hips on this play. Zinter, 90 degrees. Oluwatimi, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, right? You have this blocking and just look at the options, right? You have a lot of options here. It's actually I would say a very clear path for Corum here, especially with these 2 blocks here, right? You go here. Okay, now what do you read? You got 2 blocks here. Boom, boom. Follow this, right? That's your promise area. And this guy is going to be crashing down. So just make one move and you follow it. Yeah, dual insert here, as Steve Adams says. And it's really pretty, right? Really well executed. Zinter mauling his guy down the field, and Blake Corum just powers his way for 10 yards, right? That's easy. That's easy. Everyone's executing at a high level. Love to see it. Okay. Here we got another deep shot, and this one misses. Okay. So we'll go back to your question here, Evan. Do you think part of the wide receiver problem is they don't have enough routes to set stuff up? Like I know pass rushers have to set up moves. Is it similar with wide receivers? I think there's credence to that. I don't see a lot of these wide receivers running double moves. Okay. In order to have effective double moves, you want to be able to be hitting what the initial setup for that double move is. Okay. We've seen, I don't know why this did this. Sorry. We've seen in games in the past where you've sent Ronnie Bell on sort of a drive route like this, and then you sent him out on a whip, right? This has been really effective. They did another play earlier in this game where they sent him on a deeper looking drive and then turned it into kind of a drive corner. I don't know the exact name for that, but they've done that as well, right? And those passes aren't necessarily deep shots because they're not like down the sideline, but they are 15, 20 yards down the field. And these sort of routes, especially someone like Ronnie Bell, who teams key in on that, right? They know that Michigan loves to hit them on these drive routes. So then when you do a whip route, that's really effective. When you do a deeper drive corner route or an out route this deep, really effective. So Michigan's been able to hit those and use those with great effectiveness. I think just down the sideline, how often is Michigan really hitting and not just trying, but hitting? I mean, actually effectively completing a lot of in routes or a lot of hitch routes, right? How often on the outside is Michigan actually doing that or threatening that? Not often. That isn't something that Michigan is converting on in at a high level of frequency. They're just not. So if you're trying to do something like a downfield shot, right, you don't have something like this to go back on for that double move in the same way you have for a whip route or that deep route out, right? So should they be trying some double moves like that? Sure. But those type of routes on the outside aren't something that Michigan is threatening often enough for the changeup, which the changeup is the deep shot, right? You throw fastball, you you throw a fastball, and then you throw a changeup, right? That's kind of what I'm trying to get across with that reference. But you know what I mean? I just don't think that's Michigan's bread and butter. So when they try to go deep shot, it's harder to scheme them open in the way that other routes do. So it's a good question. I think there's part of it. I think there's a lot of different elements in this one. And go back to the first video I did on Monday to talk about the difference between Cornelius Johnson and Andrel Anthony on their fly route. This one, I do think Roman Wilson, I do think Ronnie Bell is looking for a different kind of pass here. Maybe not, but it seems like he was also kind of looking for a back shoulder throw. And we get a great look here at it. Good initial release, nothing wrong with that, but look how quick he's looking back, right? Look how soon he is looking back for this ball. That's really quick. Okay. He hasn't covered 10 yards. He's covering 7 yards there, and he's already looking back. So when you're trying to evaluate like what he's looking for, it looks like he's looking for a back shoulder throw, especially with this hand. Okay. He brings this right hand on the back of the wide receiver. Him looking back with the hand like that, he's looking to do a little push off and catch over here. Okay. That's what this body language is telling me from Ronnie Bell here. And then, so when the throw, right, when he recognizes, oh, now the throw is going deep, right? What happens? He's not running at full speed. Right now, he's heads down, full speed, get distance from the line of scrimmage, right? Now he's looking back. That's going to slow you down. You're opening up your hips. You're not in drive mode anymore. You're in, I need to figure out where he's throwing the ball mode, right? So that's going to throw off your speed a little bit, and you take your hand out to contact the defensive back. That opens yourself up for contact as well from the defensive back. So and right here, especially, he slows up. He's trying to judge the ball, trying to see if it's a 50-50 ball, and then he tries to make a last-minute break, okay? So in this scenario, it's really tough because the wide receiver naturally is slowing himself up from looking back this early into this fly route. There's seemingly discomfort in throwing a back shoulder throw, even though this is a good time to throw it, right? When you have the defensive back that is even and getting good distance here, there's a lot of room over here for a back shoulder. You like the body control of Ronnie Bell in that scenario. So yeah, I think it's just confusion. They're not on the same page in terms of if they're throwing down the field. If they're throwing back shoulder, it seemed like Andrel Anthony had a similar route where that was partially the deal as well. So I think it's something they need to rep more. They need to rep more based on where this defensive back is and how the wide receiver is looking at this point in the route, right? Is he starting to stack on top? Then you throw in front. Are they even, or is the defensive back slightly ahead? Then you'll likely have room on the back shoulder. Okay, so I think that's tough. I think it's on the quarterback to make that read, and I think they have not repped this enough for this to be a confident play for Michigan at this point, right? Because the throw in a vacuum, the throw isn't bad. If Ronnie Bell puts his head down for an extra step or two, continues down this route, he's likely in better position, but he slows up considerably and then speeds back up, and he has to try to lay out for the catch. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the solution there is, except for more repetitions in practice. Where are all the Henning reverses and end arounds? Great question. Great question. I'm not in the room. I don't know why they're not doing it. Could this be something that they are quote unquote saving for Ohio State? They ran it to great success, attacking the edges against OSU last year. Could this be a case where they're trying to, just mix it up and kind of break that back out against OSU? I'd say it's possible. And it's, similar with bubbles. I'm not exactly sure. I don't think there's any one correct answer, except for they're doing what's working right now. And it's possible when they are looking at, hey, what do we need to rep? What do we need to get better at? They might be confident already with bubbles and their execution on those screens and things like that. And they're trying to work on the deep ball in this game. that seems like it's possible. Almost seems like they used each week to work on something, then never use it again. Um, I think it's more what are they comfortable with? What are they comfortable with, and what do they think they have an advantage in any given game? Right. I think I don't know a whole lot about the defensive backs for Nebraska. They seem pretty physical, so maybe Michigan didn't feel comfortable in their blocking against the defensive backs. Right, that could be a consideration. Um, and it could be something where they just spend more time working on something else, and they're confident if they need to bring it up in a game plan later on, they can pick it up more quickly rather than something they need to work on week over week. Not exactly sure. I think there's a lot of different train of thoughts, and you could argue either way. Here, nice intermediate route here for Roman Wilson. Nice quick conversion here. A lot of pressure here that Nebraska's sending, right? 3 down linemen, boom, 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 sending 3 linebackers on the blitz. I think J.J. McCarthy does a good job recognizing that. His eyes shift from this linebacker. Now he's looking over here, and he's looking at Roman Wilson pretty quickly. I think he recognized the pressure was coming. And found Roman Wilson here, probably in response to that quick pressure. Not an easy job here for Roman Wilson, right? You give a lot of wide receivers the ball in this scenario. It's 3rd and 10, right? And you tell him to pick up this extra yardage. Not necessarily easy with this safety coming down, this guy trailing. So it's a good little deke here, gets separation, gives up a yard there, makes a guy miss, and then makes sure he gets the first down. So it's a really good job. And really well picked up the blitz for Michigan as well. So this is what having a Remington finalist at center can do for you, right? He slows down Oluwatimi, slows down effectively the blitz pretty close to himself, right? So you have these 2 guys accounted for, boom and boom. A little punch here with the left here for Oluwatimi. He will rotate to his right here, pick up this blitzing linebacker. This guy will be picked up from your running back, Blake Corum. And then you got 1 and 2 on the outside, right? So even with the blitz, really good job from Michigan picking that up, giving McCarthy enough time. You could also argue he had Cornelius Johnson on a short route as well at the top of your screen, right? I don't hate this throw. It seems like the reads are inside out, right? So he's reading here to here, notices this space, and is confident that a guy like Roman Wilson can pick up that first down, and he does. So well executed. Roman Wilson's been pretty quiet, right? Been pretty quiet the past few games. Hopefully you can pick it back up. Okay, so this is end of the half. Wanted to talk about this just because it was a misstep in terms of the clock management at the end of the first half, right? So I don't want you to be looking at anything on the screen except for the clock. Okay, so Nebraska was called for a legal substitution. You got 3 timeouts. You got 23 seconds left, and Michigan has the ball. Should have called a timeout right here. Okay, need to call a timeout. As this is going, right, clock starts going. You're going to see that. I was here at the game. They had a play that included some motion here, and you'll see it late, right? You'll see it late come on the screen. You had Colson Loveland here coming in motion from the outside, right? And that took a little bit of time. It wasn't the quickest of motions. So you go from 23 seconds down to 16, right? And by the time you snap the ball and by the time the play is over, you're at 10 seconds, right? That's a killer. That's an absolute killer. 10 seconds on the clock. If you call 23 seconds, right? If you call timeout right here, 2nd and 4, you guarantee that you can confidently get off 2 plays and then a field goal. If you pick up a first down, right, you still probably have a good 4 or 5 plays with that. Maybe that's optimistic, but Michigan only had 2 plays after this because they burned really, what is that, 8 seconds? That's big. That's 2 plays right there. So you burn 2 extra plays here by not calling that timeout after the penalty. So I think they didn't take into account 2 things. The clock starting after the penalty call, they didn't take that into account, nor did they account for the play call motion, I think that was it, where they couldn't just snap the ball right. If you can just snap the ball right at 23 seconds, 22 seconds, I can kind of understand that. But they didn't account for the motion as a part of that play, and that burned a good portion of that time. So not good. Just think for all Michigan doesn't do well, they still average over 40 points a game. I mean, that's a great point. It's a great point. We can, and I mentioned this at the top of the last live stream. Everything that we criticize here is, at least from my point of view, is in the lens of a national championship competitor. Okay, so we're not making arguments that take a team from good to great. Team's already great. You could call the team elite, and I wouldn't argue with you. So any complaints we have, right, you have to go into a very specific aspect of the pass game to really be able to see something that I would say is not good, right? Downfield passing. And still such a small sample size that, and I think they're relatively close, that can be corrected relatively quickly. I don't think it's a huge issue, right? We're not talking about the entire run game or the entire pass game, an entire unit on defense, right? Michigan does a lot of things well. When you don't have a lot to talk about, and when you're that close to being the best team in the country, right? You need to find those little things that might be able to crop up against a really good team that you'll need to lean on, right? And I think downfield passing is one of those that's the case. Okay, so after this play, so this was after that play, you see Jim Harbaugh here. He said, should have called a timeout, right? So let's go back. I'll try to annotate. Should have called a timeout. That's what he says right there. One more time. Should have called a timeout. So he knows it, right? And I think he addressed it in the post-game press conference as well. He's got a little shake of the head there. He's kind of upset at himself. So he knows he made a mistake, right? And I mean, same thing as players, right? You make a mistake, put it on film, you own it, you learn from it, and in a more important game, hopefully that doesn't come up. Generally, Michigan's been really good at clock management. Not in this one though. Okay, third quarter. JJ McCarthy again, just kind of a timing throw here. I don't think that's necessarily a bad throw. Don't know. I mean, I guess it's news to have the offensive coordinator carted off. Just kind of weird to show that side by side. Anyway, I don't think this is necessarily the wrong read for JJ McCarthy. Looks like he's looking middle of the field here. I can't tell where his eyes are. He's probably looking for, is that Loveland here, middle of the field? Or that's Bredesen. Yeah, it's Bredesen. And he moves off of that, finds Cornelius Johnson. And the pass is a little high, right? It's a little high. So you'd like that to come down. It's also something specifically with Cornelius Johnson. And when I say this, again, there's only been like 2-3 instances of this pass, but he is a little late, I think, on getting his hands up. I think he needs to understand as soon as the ball is being thrown, he needs to have his hands a little bit closer to being prepared at the chest and then adjust to it. So it seems like he's only getting his hands up, right? He's only getting his hands up now, where he likely needs to be getting them up a little bit sooner. So if the pass is a little high, he's just a hair late in getting his hands up there, right? So to me, that's what I see on these throws like this, where it's not terribly inaccurate. Is it a little high? I think so. And with the velocity coming through, you can understand that it's a tough catch. Not saying it's an easy catch here by any means. But right here, right, I think you'd like the hands to be raising already if you're Cornelius Johnson, right? This ball is in the air. You'd like his hands to be ready for the catch and then be able to flash above his head. So I think he's just a little late on getting them up, and the ball just squeaks through. So again, it's these just little things in the passing game that could improve, and those 6 yards could be the difference here. 3rd and 5, right? So that's I think that was a little bit, yeah. So we're right at the same down in distance after that drop. So Michigan picks up 5 yards after the incompletion on first down, and you get a sack from JJ McCarthy. So here you need to throw the ball. Okay. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Sending a blitz here for Nebraska. Decent pickup on the blitz. I'm honestly not sure why JJ McCarthy decides to duck out here. It's the blitz is really well picked up, right? Michigan does a really good job getting body on body, right? You look right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? You're accounted for. You got this nice pocket here. And JJ McCarthy's generally been pretty good at reading pressure when pressure is going to be there. Here he starts ducking out, right? And it's one thing to duck out to your right when that's when JJ McCarthy is really good on the run, right? Where you're throwing with your throwing arm, right? So if you run to the right, it's a lot easier to drive with that left shoulder because you're running out that way. If you're running out to the left, right, you really need to work hard to turn your body to put any sort of shoulder in front of that throw. Otherwise, you're throwing against the motion of your body, and that's a lot less safe, and you get a lot less power on that. So, why he ducked out here, I'm not sure. Pocket was still relatively good. We can't see all of the routes here. We do have AJ Henning working on a crossing route. So you got Ronnie Bell working something vertical here, crossing route for AJ Henning. It looks like sort of an outside release comeback route there or a hitch route from Cornelius Johnson. And then I don't know what Colson Loveland's doing. It seems like just up the seam. Colson Loveland is working up the seam here. So not sure exactly what the eyes for JJ McCarthy were looking at either. It seems like he's targeting Cornelius Johnson the entire way here, right? It seems like the eyes here are on this route. So he ducks out early. So, not the worst decision here. It looks like everything is relatively well covered up. I think in this position, and I'm not a quarterback coach, right? So if you want to flame me, maybe I'm not sure, but he is looking back across the field here. It's possible he's using his eyes here to try to commit 15 here to create a lane to the outside. I think that's likely, but you're not going to convert, and you don't want your quarterback trying to throw anything across the field here, right? If he's trying to look at Colson Loveland, anything like that, there's only two things you want your quarterback to throw here. This or this comeback route here for Cornelius Johnson coming back to the ball. Okay, so I think JJ McCarthy's trying to get cute with his eyes here, get this defender to rush upfield to try to defend a potential pass or slow down so that JJ McCarthy can get a running lane to the outside. I think that's likely what is attempted here. But in this scenario, I think he got a little too cute and he had Cornelius Johnson with a window to the outside right here, right? So if he plants his feet right here and says, you know what, I know my wide receiver will be coming back here and trust that, right? Plant your feet here, deliver a ball. You should have a lane with 15. There's still a considerable amount of distance there. If you plant your feet and throw that ball, likely a conversion. Instead, he tries to do it himself, right? Give credit to 15 for a good play. But especially when you're running across your body, right, where you might be able to get away with this if you're running with your body and you can get the ball out quicker. In this scenario, you need to prioritize setting your feet here, knowing that your wide receiver can make a play back and you have a lot of open grass there. Give your guy a shot, right? So I might call this differently. Again, if he's rolling out to the right, rolling out to the left, I think he had much better options and missed an opportunity. Okay, so Michigan, I believe that was, so that was third down. So Michigan punts the ball away there. Nebraska down 17-3. Smothers throws this ball off, and this is frustrating, right? We've seen a little bit of, I don't want to say poor play out of RJ Moten, but not the best, right? Not the best play out of him. And this is an opportunity where he could have made an impact on the play, right? So another four-man rush here for Michigan. Outside rush, Jalen Harrell, I believe. Mozzie Smith, Chris Jenkins, I think. This is Mike Morris. Decent enough pocket here for Nebraska. They're going to be releasing this running back. He's going to chip to the outside and then work here. So you'll want to watch RG Moten. His eyes, right, already on this running back. He has the responsibility of the running back out of the backfield, steps up. He plays this really well initially, right? RG Moten is still to the outside here, kind of mirroring this. He sees the pass coming, and he starts to fire up, right? He's firing up with decent quickness here. I think he's in good position right now. I think he just misses it, right? Right here, it's just mano y mano. This is what is your safety going to do with this running back who can threaten a few different ways, right? How do you react to that? What's your athleticism in space? And RJ Moten just didn't make the play, right? He bites a little bit too hard, a little bit too slow, can't get the ankle tackle, right? It's a bummer. 3rd and 2, that would be a big play. Against other teams, you need your safeties to be making that play. You're missing Makari Page quite a bit on that play. Okay, Nebraska gets the first down, and Michigan crunches first down. Okay, so overall, Michigan's defensive line all game did a really good job. And this is a good defensive play call, right? Really crafty blitz out of Will Johnson here. Does a really good job eyeing this up, and then he's shot out of a cannon at the edge here. So Will Johnson from the cornerback blitz does a really good job working down the line of scrimmage, avoids 83 here, and dives at the hip. So really good hitting cornerback for Will Johnson. He's making a big impact on the game. And against Ohio State, he's going to have a big role. And I think it's going to be him against Marvin Harrison Jr. For a lot of the game. Okay, so what is the goal of this play for Nebraska? So they want to block down with these 3 linemen. Block down, block down, block down. You're pulling your guard 57. He's the first guy through. 83 comes through as well. And then you have a little counter, right? You have a little counter, boom, boom. And I believe you're sending this guy off the edge to pick up or I'm sorry, I got this all wrong. That's my mistake. My mistake. Let's try it one more time. All right, block down, block down, block down. Pull 57 through. Boom, here. You threaten this, and then you do the counter with here. I got the counter back wrong. My mistake. So yeah, 57, the guard will pick up the edge player. That's Jalen Harrell. Good job from Jalen Harrell here, keeping to the inside, right? So he's on the inside because he knows you have this corner blitz, right? So anything to the outside will be gobbled up from this corner blitz. No way this wide receiver can get that. And then, the other big play on this is Chris Jenkins just whooping this block. I mean, if you're looking at offensive lineman and what you don't want to be looking at, it's what is happening to this offensive lineman, okay? Never try to look like him. So it's a good job with the initial step here of Chris Jenkins working to the inside. And then just look at how he gets low, right? Low pad level wins. Chris Jenkins just gets low there. Just gets under the shoulder pad there. The offensive lineman is not able to get contact. Really, he's not able to get strong contact because of how low Chris Jenkins gets. He ducks under that block. So he's in the backfield, right? So he's in the backfield. Jalen Harrell fights off his block pretty well. So he's tracking there. You have a Mike Barrett that's free for anything that comes up here. And then it's just, Chris Jenkins and your corner blitz, and they just meet at the running back, right? About 1 yard into the backfield. They say, hey, what's up? And boom, play over. So Jalen Harrell gets a point there for Olaying that block. Chris Jenkins gets 2 points, and Will Johnson gets a few as well for his blitz. Okay, so 3rd and 8. Right, Michigan now decides, let's send some pressure, and Will Johnson deserves a gold star on this. So main thing to look at, this guy is coming all the way across the formation, right? This is what they're looking at, and they're just sending Will Johnson on a journey here, right? And this is tough to do as a cornerback. When they're sending motion like that, watch Will Johnson, right? He has to work through the adjustment here of your safety. He has to work around the official here. And then he has to work through a couple routes that are working at the top of your screen. So just keep your eyes on Will Johnson here in the slow-mo. Gets around the ref, right? Keeping his eyes engaged, checks the field, make sure he doesn't run into anybody, stay even with them. And then he's navigating through traffic, right? Understanding when and when to look back at the quarterback and gets to the wide receiver right on time, right? So it's a really good job. And the route here, especially on the inside right here, right, just sort of seam route, is to make the job of Will Johnson difficult, right? Because then you'll have Mike Sainristil also trying to cover this. You're saying this guy out to the flat. So already with all of the motion that you've had Will Johnson go down, now he has to work through this route, right? So I don't think it was the best timed, from that slot receiver on trying to get in the way of Will Johnson, but that's still traffic that Will Johnson has to work through, right? So he does that really well, and then boom, just hit at the point of the throw, right? And he makes it look really easy. He's really comfortable. So for him, like, is this a nice hit on the and nice coverage in general? Yes, but I'm more enthused with the comfort that Will Johnson is already displaying in handling that sort of scenario. Right, he's not panicked. He's not checking the quarterback a million times. Does a really good job of working his way out there, and then it's just a frame perfect hit. Right, so I like how his eyes are on the key here. Right, he understands what the route is. He's getting plenty of depth here, and he only checks right when the wide receiver has committed here. Right, so boom, wide receiver's looking back. Now you see Will Johnson do a little bit of a peek just to make sure that yep, the ball is coming here, and then he fires down. So yeah, just really well played. True freshman impact player that you'll need later on the season. He's starting to take some snaps from both DJ Turner and Jimon Green. And Michigan really does have 3 starting corners, not just 2. And then you add in Mike Sainristil, right? So it's a lot of good options here. Just another casual 10, 12-yard pickup here for Blake Corum. And this is a great case in patience, right? Not a whole lot here to start, right? And this is just setting up your blocks, working through traffic, right? It's these sorts of runs where whenever I hear, oh, anyone could run through this offensive line, sure. How many people could be patient enough for this play to be successful, right? I don't even know what you really call this. Pin and pull, sure, but you also have a number of you have 3 pullers here, right? It's really weird blocking scheme. It's kind of like pin and pull with insert or something with how Colson Loveland is running this. So yeah, you have down blocks all from the front side here. Okay, so block here, double, and you're looking off of these blocks. You're leaving this guy unblocked, and then you're pulling boom, boom, and boom. And you're actually inserting, it seems, with Colson Loveland here and pulling to the outside with your left tackle here to the outside. So really interesting concept here. Carson Barnhart is taking this out. I don't know if the play was designed to go to the outside or if Ryan Hayes missed this. It seems like Ryan Hayes probably just missed this. I think Ryan Hayes, instead of working up inside this block, he decided to go outside based on number 2's reaction to this play. So he kind of becomes a wasted block here, right? But you got Colson Loveland working up here as well. Corum probably makes the right call by cutting inside here. Did he have a lane to the outside? Likely, right? He likely did. If he maybe showed a little bit of patience here, let his block get here and then cut outside after this guy commits the inside, right? This probably could have had something as well. But when you're Blake Corum, you can make multiple things work. Excuse me. So Blake Corum cuts up the middle, makes a couple guys miss, fouls his blocks from Joel Honigford and Colson Loveland, and picks up 10 yards, right? So again, to have this level of patience and then able to just work through traffic, right? Is it the best run? It probably could have been a little bit better if he goes outside, but when you're possibly making the wrong read, right? You make it work by picking up 10 yards. And that's what Blake Corum does time and time again, is pick up just chunk runs, right? They're not flashy, they're not explosives, but they're 10 yards. And Michigan and Corum especially does that on the regular. And here again, what great timing, right? For me to say that. And then Blake Corum does the same thing again. This one kind of duo blocking up front. What I mean by that is you got 2 duos, duo 32, duo 82. Oluwatimi is going to work to the second level here. Let's move forward with these blocks. Single blocks on the outside here, boom and boom. Here's your double. Getting to the second level, you can see Oluwatimi's eyes on the linebacker. And here's your handoff. Blake Corum gets the ball. Let me make sure this isn't a read. I'm not sure if this is a read or not. Doesn't seem like it. Only possible read is based on the based on the reaction of this defender. Because he steps up, maybe that's the difference. I'm not sure if that's 100% a read or not. But anyway, give here. Um, you do have this defensive lineman fighting off 82. He's going to fight through on this side, but that's okay, right? You seal him off this way. Your second level block should be getting there already. If your defensive lineman is shucking you like that, just stay connected, right? And it's a good job of just stay connected to his hip right here, right? Continues to push, even though he's losing his balance. He continues to push his guys to the outside. So he at least does that, right? And that creates just a little bit of a crease there because of that. You'd like to see um, your left guard do a little better here. Loses contact on 99. 99 gets his head inside, gets an arm onto Blake Corum. But again, this is the case where when you say, well, anybody could run through these holes, right? Not many 5'8", 215-pound running backs exist, let alone ones who are going to shuck a defensive tackle off and continue on his run. Just doesn't happen. Okay. Good job protecting the ball here. And then again, he's just dragging bodies. He's just dragging guys, right? How often is he not falling forward, right? So boom, to fight through that, keep momentum, protect the ball, get an extra couple yards after contact, pick up the first step. I mean, find me a better running back, right? Find me a better running back. There's only probably a couple names that I would maybe entertain, but I'll still say no. And Blake Corum's number one. So just great run. Relatively well blocked. Could have done better on a couple of them. And again, Blake Corum makes you look good. And that's a great running back to have. All right, a few plays more here. Michigan, really creative play here on the touchdown, right? And you get a great block from Blake Corum as well. So love the play design where Michigan wants to take advantage of their mobile quarterback, but instead in the past, right, from this look, Michigan had been trying to incorporate a read, like you read this edge defender, right, and do your similar sort of reads and keep based on the edge defender. The issue when you're this close, right, safeties can play up, or just they don't exist on this play, right? So the benefit in your read or play action isn't there because there's just less space for the safeties to have to cover in their responsibilities between the run and pass game or the quarterback give and quarterback keep. So because of that, right, Michigan still wants to take advantage of the legs and running ability that JJ McCarthy offers. In this case, they just straight up run them, right? Just looking at the end zone view here, just a really good job. Everyone picks up their blocks extremely well. Colson Loveland got to be a little bit more careful here. He might be called for holding later on. I actually like the other view of this better. Sorry to keep jumping through. But this is just zone blocking, right? You're not really pulling anybody. The only real pull on the outside here, Colson Loveland blocked down. You loop around here for Ryan Hayes, and then you got Blake Corum as a lead block, right? Everyone else just work to the outside here on your first step, right? Don't let anybody through on the backside. Step to your left, right? Get your hat across, and you should have enough numbers on the outside. So it's a good initial job from Colson Loveland. Again, you got to be careful here, especially with this backhand. Lucky that probably wasn't called. Just let go there, right? If you're losing him, you got to understand you also have Blake Corum coming through for a block. And if you lose this, right, go on and block here, right? So Blake Corum does a good job cleaning that up, and McCarthy reads that and converts, gets a nice crease there. So overall, I like the creativity, right? This is a good use of the quarterback run in the red zone. And I think Michigan learned from their previous struggles in the red zone with the quarterback run and adjusted. And I like this adjustment. And they'll likely shift to more pure quarterback run scenarios with this. And I really like having a guy like Javier Dunlap or different guys that you probably keep in Corum. But you can do a lot of different things when you take that readout and just lean on, we have a running quarterback and we trust him to be able to tote the rock to get into the end zone. Okay, really nice to see this. We have a series of runs here from some Michigan backups. Really like to see this from CJ Stokes because this is a nice patient run. Okay, another pin pull. Um, I think this is just power, right? This is just straight up power. So you're leaving, or no, I think it's technically pin and pull. Um, so you're doubling here, play side, double, release to the backside backer. You're leaving um, you're leaving an edge defender unblocked. So there's your double. You're leaving this defensive tackle unblocked. So he's going to come up. You pick him up first with your pull. Boom. There's your guard picking that up, and then you have Colson Loveland leading through the hole. So, play side linebacker here, he has to decide where he's going to react here, right? So, boom, you get your pickup here, and then based on where he commits, right, that's where you have Colson Loveland walking through and picking up that block. And it's just good patience from the running back, right? You got to follow that block. You need to cut off that block. Get that linebacker to commit, right? The linebacker committed. Look at where the hat is of Loveland because a linebacker committed here. Boom, hat inside, and CJ Stokes puts his foot in the ground, and look at that cutback lane, right? So really good job there from CJ Stokes recognizing that. Good block from Loveland as well, that lead block. So it's a nice little burst. He's got some Higdon in him in his running style. Really clever block here on the backside from Ronnie Bell, right? 23 is a little bit bigger. Let him work up a little bit, right? You don't need to go out and block this. If you do, it's really not going to be good for any sort of cutback lane because he'll have less room to actually cut back on this, right? So let him take himself out of the play. If you'll watch, Ronnie Bell kind of holds off a little bit, right? And then just pushes him over an offensive lineman, right? Good luck. Good luck getting up from that. But yeah, I really like CJ Stokes, what he showed in this game. Good patience here, right? Good vision. And then boom, he's pretty quick accelerating out of those cuts, like Higdon was. So a really solid number 3 back to have, and getting him reps is really big for Michigan's offense in general. Here's an even better look. Should have went with this look. So that's El Hadi doing a good job getting that block in the hole, right? Boom, work around. Really great hole there, right? So good patient run, Stokes, chop, 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 boom, cut off the butt. Center downfield. Really good job. Really good job. Okay. Move forward here, 2nd and 13. CJ Stokes again. Nice job. And again, his burst is kind of coming on a little bit. Starting to see that burst a little bit. Let's move to this view. Little same kind of play that we're looking at here, except your center is pulling, right? What a luxury you have when your center can pull with ease like this, right? After the snap, able to get out, right? You get the down block here, 1-on-1 block with Carson Barnhart, pull Oluwatimi for the edge, and then lead with Loveland through the hole. So really great job, Oluwatimi getting low here, forming that edge. Here's number 5. That's the next block for Loveland. Picks that up. A really good job overall there. Actually a nice clever block here from Carson Barnhart. He's going to initially just shove here and then set up for a backside linebacker. So he's just passing this guy off, engaging him enough so that when Loveland comes through, he's able to get that off of the butt of Oluwatimi. So this is really well blocked, right? Everyone gets their block extremely well. Look at the hips, right, of this seal block on the interior. 31 takes himself out of the play. Blocked, 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 right? You got options. So this is Michigan just executing at a high level, right? Really good job, CJ Stokes, just separating a little bit of a burst, and he's an arm tackle away from a big gain. So really well done. Okay, 1st and 10 here. CJ Stokes again, just showing just craftiness in the run, right? Just a little bit of wiggle, right? He's doing just little things right, showing that patience that you need. This is just a stretch left, right? So you're going to have 2 doubles on the interior with the goal of getting the outermost player to the linebackers, right? So what I mean by that, Everyone's taking a step left, 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 right? Work across, pin them back. Get a double here. So double nose tackle, boom, release out to number 5, flowing to the play. Same here. Work across, 50. Help enough here to get El Hadi on this double on 32. And then that'll free up Ryan Hayes to 31, flowing to the play, right? So that's what you're doing on the offensive line. Do a couple orbits of that just to kind of show that offensive line motion through the play there. And then Colson Loveland doesn't know what he's doing on this play. Okay, let's shift to the other view here. Colson Loveland just did not get the play call. He's actually going to start going this way before he realizes, oh crap, I'm supposed to go this way, huh? So not the best play from him, but he makes it work, okay? He realizes he's wrong, corrects, goes out, picks up this block, and it happens, right? It works out, picks up the block. So, hey, sometimes things aren't always going to be great. You improvise, right? And if you're wrong, at least block somebody, right? If you're wrong, be aggressively wrong. So it's a good play from him, right? He was wrong at first, picks up a guy off the edge, and CJ, I mean, he's lucky. He kind of tackled him a little bit there. Got to watch your arms on the outside. Can't do that. But it's a good job from Stokes, right? Patience. Just a little foot in the ground, cut to the inside, right? He's making really nice cuts off the butts of blocks. Just a little stiff arm, make it a little bit tougher there for guys to get a full hit on you, right? Maximize that yardage. So it's a nice play. Okay. Here, little play action pass to Ronnie Bell. This will be the last play we take a look at. And really fun play, right? The most exciting play on the day, I would call it. Fortunate to come away with a touchdown. So I like the play design, right? Get a little under center play action here. Could have done a little bit better on the edge with Bredesen's block, right? Bredesen needs to shove this guy down the line a little bit better, right? Not unreasonable to give an easy path here for JJ McCarthy, especially on the play action. So need to do a little bit better. Get your head across if you're Bredesen there. Heads to the outside, needs to be to the inside on number 2 here. But McCarthy able to work out here. Again, the whip route for Ronnie Bell, especially with the play action, right? This is meant to look like a quick slant here. And then he's going to the outside. So it's a nice route, pretty well run. Sticks his foot in the ground. Ronnie Bell is extremely good at routes that require a quick change of direction. Really talented of him to stay in bounds here. Couldn't believe he actually did. So give him a lot of credit here. He actually puts a body there, puts a shoulder into that defensive back, continues running. So, I mean, outside of everything except the end of the play, 100% phenomenal play from Ronnie Bell. Just got to hold on to that ball, right? Give a lot of credit for the team continuing to rally to the ball, right, and get that there. But yeah, great play from Ronnie Bell here. Well thrown ball on the run for JJ McCarthy. But yeah, good strength and good balance, right? You tell me right here that he's going to stay in bounds. Incredible. Really well done. But yeah, just need to hold on to the ball a little bit better. But give credit, you know, when bad things happen, again, solve it with aggression, solve it with ferocity. So if this is called a touchback initially, I'm not sure it's overturned, right? This is the best view they have. I don't think there's any definitive way to say if that ball touched the out of bounds there. Maybe it did. Hard to say. But Michigan gets a little benefit of the doubt there, and that's it. Okay, any final questions here? Michigan overall, again, pretty good game, right? I mean, when you can beat a team 34-3 and people call you boring and have nothing else to say except boring, that you're a boring team and boring things, right? They're not wrong, but it's also a good feeling. When you're elite, you can zoom in, right? Really zoom in on a few things that you can improve on. That will take you from elite to a national championship, right? And that's where Michigan's at, and that's what this game kind of was. We know what Michigan's good at. There are just a few things they can get better at to position them better for a national championship and for being that upper echelon and being Ohio State. Okay, that's it. That's Nebraska. We'll be back next week for Illinois. Throw a like on the video, throw a subscription on the channel. Come on over to michigan.rivals.com. Right? That's got to be the URL. Let me double check that. Michigan.rivals.com. And lots of great content over there. So come hang out, come say hello, and yeah, appreciate you guys coming out and watching. We'll be back next week, hopefully with Trevor. Trevor's still out with an illness. Hopefully he'll be feeling better next week and we can get him in here. But appreciate you guys for coming to hang out, and we'll talk soon. Go Blue.